Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to CGA's 2020 webinar, Wednesday webinar series, WWS, and Thursday virtual roundtable, TVR. Today, we are excited to welcome Measurement Canada, Mario Dupuis, with us on our webinar. I'm David McConkey, Director of Operations, Safety and Security for the Canadian Gas Association. Over the next number of weeks, running until December of this year, we continue our webinar series and virtual roundtables covering topics including operations, engineering, plant integrity, construction, and measurement and regulation. We really appreciate you taking the time and making the effort to participate and join us today. I'll begin with logistics, and then we'll move on to the formal introduction. For webinars such as these, we recommend the use of headphones or earbuds for the best possible sound quality. Our event organizer, Can Events, will have everyone muted, but the presenters by default. We are using GoToWebinar, as you can see, for these sessions. Please take the opportunity now to check out the GoToWebinar panel accessible via the small orange arrow off to your side. We will be using the question feature during this webinar, so just take a moment to locate that in your panel. If you are having any connectivity issues, we recommend that you leave the webinar entirely and then come right back on in using the same link that you used originally. This, in most cases, will repair the connection. You may use the chat feature to speak with our team to help resolve any technical difficulties. We encourage you to keep the chat panel visible during the session for notifications that may come out. The agenda and format for the session are as follows. Mario will walk us through his presentation, and he will take questions as we go. He'll be moving through a series of different topics, so he'll welcome questions on those topics as we go through. We will also aim for a Q&A at the end of the presentation as well. So get your questions ready and please engage in the discussion. As noted, the process for asking questions today will be as follows. Using the question feature, so there are the two, the chat and the question feature. So please use the question feature, type in your question, and I'll act as the moderator and we'll pose your question to Mario directly. And again, note, we'll take questions throughout and we'll also conclude with a Q&A at the end. As we always begin our meetings, we would like to remind you of our obligation to adhere to the Canadian Anti-Competition Act. This boils down to avoiding topics or comments that may influence competition in Canada. This could include referencing overly positively or overly negatively particular vendors. We thank you for adhering to this obligation. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce to you our presenter, Mario Dupuis, who is the Manager, Utility Metering Division at Measurement Canada. Mario is the former Director of the Approval and Calibration Service Laboratory of Measurement Canada. He started his second career in metrology with Measurement Canada in 2007. His first assignment as Quality System Manager was to prepare the laboratories for the ISO IEC 17025 accreditation, which was obtained in 2009. He then led the Volume Measurement Laboratory Group from 2012 to 2016, mainly performing type approval testing and volumetric standards calibration under the Weight and Measures Act. Mario began his professional career in 1989 as an analytical chemist with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency and the Pest Management Regulatory Agency, and has made his way up the organization's ranks to the management of the residue testing laboratory. So with that, as noted, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Mario. Over to you.
Thank you, David. Thanks for the CGA also for inviting me. Was supposed, I guess, to do this back in June in Charlevoix. So, but glad to do it here in the comfort of my home. So, I'm not sure if you guys can see now my screen presentation.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. I didn't get to select which screen, so good. Huh? So lots to talk about today. Hopefully it will be so you'll learn a few more things or be raise awareness on what we do. Most of the time it's done in collaboration with the CGA through the GPAC committees. So so pleased to present it to you and maybe raise awareness from the other members who are less present in this context. So just to give you a quick update on something that may affect some of you guys out there, we have a new regional director for the Western region. So John Pfeiffer has finally, and luckily for him, retired after 35 years with MC. So he left in June. There was a bit of an interim situation where our president was acting into the position, but we are pleased now to welcome Jacqueline Booth. She started just 2 weeks ago. She's operating for our Vancouver office. So hopefully the Western folks will have the opportunity to talk to Jacqueline soon and get to know her and bring her up to speed. Don't worry about don't hesitate to approach her. It's the best way for her to get the feel of what the gas industry is and how we can best assist you. So she comes from Transport Canada. She has a good background over there with the Aviation and Safety Directorate. And lately she was involved with the risk management framework for the management of the fatigue of the materials and the transportation and transformation. So it's a good asset for us. I'm glad to see her with us now. Just to give you, because things are moving always quite a bit, just to give you an idea of who my team is. At the utility metering division, of course, we cover both electricity and gas. On the gas side, I have 3 senior program officers with me at this point. There's 3 more on the electricity side. Technically, the team could consist of up to 9 people. So we're a bit low on staff these days. But doing our best to assist you. So Steve Klein, most of you know him already. He's the chair of the GPAC, is our main contact on the OIML committees at the international level, and he's our lead on the specification and policy development within the unit. He is a mentor for the younger people in our group. So recently, we have welcomed Amish Gupta. He was previously gas specialist out west, so he's acting with us for a year. Started in June, so I'm pretty lucky to have him. We took advantage of a talent management strategy to scoop him up. So he's involved with the development of specification and policy. He is leading also the G14 for low intervention and installation. So if you have such a request, he's the guy to talk to. Also, we have Benoit Montpetit. Benoit is our lead on the marketplace monitoring program, the Gen 45, Gen 46. So most of you, either as contractors or authorized service providers, certainly know these programs by having to report your results on a yearly basis. So he's also developing specs and policies for us. So that's a team, as you can see, just a few people. We've lost along the way. When Amish came, we lost Christian Bonneau. He is now with the labs at MC also. So maybe it will be back. It's an acting also in his case. So as I said, people are moving along. Just a brief introduction or visual aid to understand how the legal framework works for us, and consider, just so that you have an appreciation, of it. So fundamental requirements are in the Act. The framework is more defined in the regulation. So these are areas that we have little to say. I know that there's a modernization of the Act and regs that is on the go or in the books, but these are more static. But there's definitely a need to modernize these two. Where we can have some leverage for us, and that's where my team is working, is on the specification. On the ENG side, we have the privilege to have the authority in-house. Our president have the authority to issue specification requirements. So this is a big plus for us. So, and we divide them under approval specs, installation and use, and verification or re-verification specs. So there's tons of them. I'm sure you're familiar with the ones that are relevant to you, but that's how, through the specification, that we try to convey the intent of the requirements, the fundamental requirements of the Act for the specific device used in the field. And to support that, of course, we have test procedures and installation drawings and etc. So the other things that we have is the policy. You see, we regulate a lot with policy. We establish policy. So all the bulletins that you see, these are the policies. So that's another tool that we have that is not part of the legal framework. We cannot establish requirements through policy, but we can certainly regulate by establishing policy to facilitate the implementation of the specification in the marketplace. So just to give you a quick update, with the COVID this year, of course, the level of activities is reduced. Everybody's working from home. It was an opportunity to catch up on a few projects for us. But we do things differently. We always have the concept where through the process advisory committee with the CGA, we have opportunity to discuss priority and to engage in developing the specification requirements with them. A little less of that happened this year. We're lining up to realign the processes along the reality these days. So, but just to give you a few realizations we did this year, a big one that was expected for a long time, I should say. So the specification for verification and re-verification for the EVC conversion devices and functions. So published this summer in June. It was originally intended to become effective as of October 1st. For that, we provided training session to the industry. Hopefully, you had the chance to attend to that. Steve Klein took care of that. We've just extended the implementation date to January 1st, 2021. Reason for that, Steve was rushing to prepare the inspection procedures that goes along the spec. By the time it could be shared with the industry and reviewed, and people have time to update their own procedures, we felt there was a need to push it down by 3 months. So 3 more months to prepare for this. Our ASD team, along with the specialists, will be using the procedure that is being developed by Steve, which is PG08 here, to I guess, evaluate the procedures for the authorized service providers. So an official draft of the procedures was provided to industry a few weeks ago for comments. Steve has received the comments. It's going to be published in the next few weeks. So bear with us on that one. So we're trying to move as fast as possible. Like I said, it's going to be used as a reference for the other procedures that you guys may want to establish in your own meter shops. We just did a quick fix. Also, something was coming up, the policy G402 for temporary permission to leave to put installed metering devices in service without sealing them. There's some exclusions to the scope of that. The conversion devices are an exclusion. The exclusion was coming to an end as of January 1st, 2021. So we've extended it for another 3 years. Otherwise, these devices would have been subjected to the requirements of the software and event logger specs. So the rationale behind it was that there's still a limited number of makes and models that are out there with the approved remote or local or remote configurability of their legally relevant parameters. So we didn't want to cause any monopoly issue also and negatively impact the manufacturers. So 3 more years, but the objective is to get everybody to have their devices submitted for type approval, and then there won't be a need anymore to have them on the being excluded. So there's a procedure also for the verification and re-verification of diaphragm meters that was developed this year. So it's all completed, pending web publishing. Unfortunately, it's the end of the road for us, that web publishing process. There's a big backlog there. So wish we were looking into ways to make these documents effective as they are ready, and not having to wait for the publishing process to come in place to make them official. Some housekeeping also. These are programs that we maintained. So the GO3 program is a program where device could be qualified for a lengthened initial re-verification period. So 2 more devices were added this year, this summer, to the list of authorized device in GO3. Here's a big one that maybe has not raised too much awareness already. So saying that because there's no application yet, but something that was prevalent on the electricity side is a policy for granting temporary dispensation for the re-verification of device and leaving them in service over conditional period of time, along with some conditions. It's intended for the device, for the mass deployment of devices. Or a contractor who wish to renew this meter park with the advanced metering technology. So understanding that doing so, they may not have the capability to handle the regular meter replacement programs that are scheduled. And in order for the device not to become overdue, there is a dispensation program that is available to them now. So the program is based on the fact that the integrity and the accuracy of the gas metering devices must be maintained. You are to provide objective evidence to allow us to make the decision as to proceed or not with the issuing the dispensation. Basically, we rely heavily on the compliance history of the devices. And you need to provide a plan that will include how you will mitigate the risk of the inaccurate meter remaining in service in the event that one of your clients would want to file a dispute or something. So we need to provide how these will be addressed. So it's applicable for the device intended for the retail market. So diaphragm, sonic meters, temperature control only, and the PFM metering installations. So if you have, coming back to this one, so if you have any need for that one, don't hesitate to contact our shop, and we'll lead you to the process. It's something that we would manage with the active participation of the regional office also. So you may also reach out to them first. Okay. Work we are currently engaged with, we are starting, or we have started to prepare for the development of a specification for the verification and re-verification of the mass flow meters by 100% inspection. So currently, each approved device had test point defined in their notice of approval. So the objective is to make these devices eligible for scope extension for meter verifiers. So once a spec is available, it will become a reality. So that's the intent here. We are in the information gathering phase with the device manufacturers out there and some industry stakeholders that have shown an interest for the scope expansion. If you're also interested, we would be pleased to talk to you also. So the internal discussion is taking place for now with PDD and the engineering group. A first draft is expected by the end of 2020 for internal review, and then it's going to be shared with the rest of the community here to gather the comments. So you'll have a chance there if you're not specifically interested at this point, but want to have a peek at it and offer comments. So stay tuned for the early 2021 to see the first draft of that one. The other one, which has been on our list of top priorities for a while now, it's something that we are just engaging now. It's Amish Gupta, since he joined us in June. That was one of the two major projects I assigned him to. So developing the spec for in situ verification and re-verification for the PFM installations. So he's currently reviewing the literature on this. He's going to reach out to the stakeholders. He's preparing that phase. So the work really, you'll probably hear from him starting in January. The objective is to have a first draft by end of March 2021, and then go into the consultative process, the formal consultative process with you guys on that one. So bear with us again, that one is coming. So shopping list is endless. I just pointed at a few ones here. Rotor meters, turbine meters, the sonic meters. We will have to review the spec for verification, installation, and use. But first, we need to come up with a classification of these sonic meters. So a draft was prepared for the classification, and it's something that will be discussed very soon. As soon as we have the next process advisory committee with the CGA, it's on the agenda there. So let's first agree on the classification for these devices, and then define the testing points that are applicable to each. Other ones, the hydrogen refueling systems and compressed natural gas are becoming emerging issues, and you'll see I'll be talking more in depth about especially the hydrogen a little later. Just to give you an update, since you guys have been, I guess, collaborating with us for the past 3-4 years on the Gen 45 and Gen 46. So just to give you an update of where we are now. So the data was all aggregated for all 3 years on the Gen 45, which is the Meteor population report. So we've produced a report for the 2017. It was done in 2018. Now we are in the process of completing the report for the 2018-2019. So data is there. The data, aggregated data, is available to our regional teams to follow up on overdue devices at this point. That's the main intent. But also, now that we have cumulative data, it will be interesting to see the trends on the evolution of the Meteor population through these consecutive reports. So the first year was just a single report. So that now we're trying to find a way to report on that to show the more of an historical approach and to the growth of the Meteor population. Still investigating the possibility to release a public version of the report. For now, the report, the way it's written, it's intended for internal use. I needed to speak to our communication branch for this. Not entirely in our hands, I should say. The Gen 46 for the Meteor inspection reports. Again, it started the same year, 2017. Data is again aggregated for all years. The 3 reports are available in this one. And just as of today, I received a draft 2020 Meteor report from Benoit Montpetit. So I saw that in my inbox this morning. So I'll be reviewing it and providing comments on that. So again, the aggregated data here is available to our ASD teams to plan their product audit and we're using it also internally whenever there are some issues with some different models of meter, that we have additional data to rely on them. We've included an interesting facts about the meters that were granted lengthened initial re-verification period. For the past 2 years, we had the opportunity to gather data for the first time on devices that were due for their first re-verification. So interesting metrics there. Can't disclose the results because these results pertain to specific device manufacturers, but basically we saw that the compliance levels could be affected on the mechanical type of devices, regardless if the interim results were showing promising results. So if I can leave it at that. And again, looking into possible ways to release a public version of that report. To show you a bit on the gas sector, what the compliance level look at for the 3 different inspection method: 100% acceptance, SSO4, and compliance sampling, SSO6. So you see the compliance level on the 100% inspection. It's always above 99. The first 2 years of this program, we were concerned a little bit with the 94 and 93% compliance on the SSO4. Looks like last year it came back up. So it was a concern for us because we figured that the methods for the new device and renewed device should be pretty straightforward, and the verification itself shouldn't be a mechanism to qualify the device. There's already some testing and calibration done on these devices before they are acceptance sampling. Compliance level for the SSO6, you see the number is here, so maybe the graph shows a better view of that over the 3 years. From the blue to the gray column here, we see a shift from the compliance level from year to year. So the first year, most of the meters, for 54%, I believe, was all level 1, and about 22-23% level 2, and going down for the level 3 and level 4. And second year around, it was a level 2 that were higher up, and level 3 also. So that's a strange concept here. We're wondering if the meter population is aging. So something that Benoit is looking into. You've developed some recommendation and asking the regional staff to keep an eye on this phenomenon here. Talking a little bit about the hydrogen strategy here. Currently involved with the hydrogen, we are in collaboration with the hydrogen refueling system manufacturers. Obviously, they would like to get type approval for their devices. We're also entering a great bunch of public demand about these devices. There was 2 stations in Vancouver area. There's 1 big in Quebec. There's a few more that are being built. I think there's now probably 4 or 5 stations in BC, and another one on the way. So as they become public, it's a growing interest from the public. So we are answering questions about them. For now, we ask that they would sell from a non-measurement based approach. So basically a flat rate or the other means that are not based on the measurement of the quantity of the hydrogen delivered. So we are involved with the NRC on a project that is called the H2 Data Analytics. It's an R&D project where they are trying to improve the device accuracy, one of the main roadblocks for potential type approval to meet the legal limits of errors in place in Canada that are prescribed in the Acts. The Hydrogen Science and Technology Technology Interdepartmental Committee. It's a committee led by Transport Canada. There's a dashboard of 27 projects that are led by them. We are involved. There's a tiny portion of that relates to the measurement accuracy and the light duty vehicles. So we are part of that one and making sure that the regulatory context is inclusive of us on the long run. We're also monitoring international development on by attending the flow metering Metro IV group in Europe, who is developing testing rigs for these devices for the purpose of type approving testing them. So also the Australian hydrogen strategy is something that we are monitoring. So there's more to come, obviously. Just 2 weeks ago, there's an interdepartmental initiative led by NRCan that led to the issuance of a Canadian hydrogen strategy. We're part of the work group with ICED. So it's not public yet, but there were some mention of it in the throne speech. So now we are awaiting the next federal budget, which is coming up, and the subsequent cabinet directives that will give us the details of how we are to react to the throne speech. And of course, the hydrogen strategy was something that was presented to the cabinet already. So there's a commitment there and a roadmap for the hydrogen in Canada. So it represents opportunity for us for first developing prototype for device approval specs for these HRS, but also probably of more interest to you is to start looking into the approval of meter use and the distribution network where hydrogen is blended with the natural gas. And to that effect, maybe I can add that just 2 weeks ago, the CGA reached out to us to say this is something that they want to discuss with us during the next process advisory committee. Sorry, I'm going fast. I know we only have an hour, so can't provide much details, but feel free at the end for the questions or to reach out after. So maybe if this could only serve as to raise awareness, I will be pleased with that. So COVID relief provision. So something that we've spent the last couple of months working on. There was a demand from both associations here following the outbreak of COVID-19 to address the issue occurring with the contractors, where they could not or they may not be able to attend to their meter replacement plans for this year due to the limitations of the access to these meters. So even ourselves, back in March, we suspended the requirements for meter replacement and re-verification. We didn't want to cause any harms to the industry contractor and to the general public by forcing you guys into the dwelling houses to remove the meters. So keep everybody safe was the mindset. So since then, the public health authorities across the country are establishing requirements and guidelines for the safe return to work. So I know things are turning. There's a second wave now that is hitting us, and we kind of knew it would come, and therefore reinforcing the need for what we had to provide for in terms of flexibility. So it was agreed that a risk management framework would be a suitable tool for the meter owner and a guide for MC to target the meter re-verification, to target the meters at higher risk for now and leave those at lower risk of measurement inaccuracy in service, so beyond their normal seal period. So a joint work group was formed from the members of the industry. So pointing to those few that work with us, we had 7 or 8 meetings with the industry partners here. And together we've developed a risk-based framework for you to prioritize your work and for us to provide some flexibilities. So the outcome is of the risk-based framework. It will be used to target verification activities where the measurement inaccuracy is more likely to occur. vulnerable parties are at greater risk, and the trade transaction represent a significant monetary value. So these are the areas that were identified that where the activities should be pursued as much as possible. And Measurement Canada would confirm some flexibilities to leave the other meters in service past their sealed expiry date. So it's a case-by-case consideration. I'll show you just the large lines of that concept here. Maybe we can skip through that one. Main legal consideration here. So device must be verified and sealed prior to be put in service. Devices have to be re-verified and resealed over a periodic frequency. And there's a potential for an offense if a device would measure beyond the prescribed limits of errors. So there was a fear by the industry that they would get in violation by not re-verifying the device and potentially by leaving devices that are at higher risk of measurement inaccuracy also to be in an offense situation in regards of the application of the acts and regs. So relief provisions that we've investigated, temporary dispensations was a possibility. Temporary modification of the sample selection requirements outlined in SS06 and modification to the re-verification period 12.1c of the Act. So these were the provision that we felt that could be investigated. The last one, the modification to the re-verification period, was not retained. It's something that is very difficult to apply a risk-based model to. So we focus on the temporary dispensation and some modification to the SS06 specification here, which we did. So the modification to SS06 was published in the policy bulletin Gen 49. So basically, we are establishing a temporary provision for 2 years for device owners to apply a filter for on their random sampling process to limit it or to exclude the meters that are deemed to be potentially non-available for a COVID-related reason. And this process could be run multiple iteration of time until the end min could be reached. So it's intended for a situation where a consumer may refuse access to the indoor installation. There's regional mobility restrictions in place. The site access may require travel under unsafe sanitary condition or simply be quarantined. So I hope that you've seen the Gen 49 provision that were issued just about 2 months ago. The other process, the full process with the temporary dispensation, it's a process where there's a risk model, a risk matrix that was developed with the joint committee group to define, to scale the risk of a different meter lot or a meter group that are similar if the risk level is deemed to be low enough, or there's some possible mitigation of the risk that could be exercised, then a temporary dispensation could be granted to leave these meters in service past the December 31st this year. The Gen 49 process is also included in this process here. So if the meters are at higher risk, potentially the Gen 49 process provisions will allow the meter owner to get to a number of devices in order to requalify the entire lot of meters that are at higher risk. So some specific characteristics of the management framework, the risk management framework. Meters that are granted a temporary dispensation remain eligible for compliance sample once the seals are expired. This is unique. Usually, once a seal is expired, no possible way to resample them. They become overdue and they need to be replaced and taken out of service. So we are allowing the industry to leave them in service first and to requalify while they are still in service through the compliance sampling. The temporary dispensation does not provide for extended seal time. Once a meter or meter lot eventually gets re-verified, then the subsequent seal period is established based on the seal expiration date, not the re-verification date. So basically, if you're granted an 8-year and you're only able to requalify the meters 2 years down the road, there is 6 years left to your sealing period on the meter. Some conditions could be established also in the temporary dispensation to mitigate the risk level. So you may include multiple meters, meter lots, or informal group of similar meter in a request for temporary dispensation, but each group or each lot needs to be assessed for risk using the matrix. Previously overdue meter do not qualify for this program. They are already subjected to action plans. So, and your region will assist you with that and may exercise additional flexibility for the realization of the plan and look into extending the timeline that were agreed upon. But that's separate from this risk management framework here. So application will be reviewed by us and a recommendation made to our president for the dispensation. And you'll have the opportunity in there to disclose the impediments and possible mitigation elements for consideration into the process. So that risk assessment here, geez, it's not refreshing entirely here. Let's go back. Sorry about that. Not sure why it's good in the presentation. It's just not moving here. Okay, scoring the risk. Basically, we've defined 5 categories of risk, and they're being combined through the risk matrix. There's 50% of meter-related risk elements that are part of the risk model. So the compliance history or the age of meter is one of them. The approval pattern integrity is one. So is there any defect with the approval pattern of these meters, putting them at higher risk? The meter type, the use, and the legal units of measures used with the devices are also another contributor. So there's sorry, I don't see the 2 others here. If I come back, maybe, not sure why. Sorry about that. Eligibility of client is one of them. What's your past history with the enforcement, with the accreditation status, any non-compliances, how well are they being handled, and so on. So just trying to refresh my mind here about the 2 others here. One is the volume of the trade transaction is one for about 15%. And the other one is the type of vulnerable parties involved: residential, commercial, industrial clients, and so on. So to gauge the risk of the entire risk. So of course, we'll be relying on metrics to assess that risk. So audit result, like I said, corrective action request, the history of overdue meter, compliance history of your meter population, contractor records of meter compliance. You have your own records that you can show additional monitoring that you're doing to ensure the compliance of the meters that will be left in service. We entertain the concept of technical alert at Measure in Canada, and we are involved with ongoing issue management with some device manufacturers. So we'll keep that in the matrix also. And the enforcement level, are you subjected to progressive measures or even AMPS? So that's another one. So we're trying to move quickly on this. It was approved just the joint committee made the recommendation to the executive management committee at Measurement Canada. So it was approved a week and a half ago. Decision was made then to create a tiger team with regional operation and UMD, so 2 senior inspectors per region to assist the industry with the risk assessment of their meter lots and metering devices, and us UMD. So we'll be there to assist you with the running the model. We have the templates, we have a spreadsheet that was developed for this. And they will be assisting you in filling the application so we can proceed before the end of December. And my team will dedicate resources also. So Mike Abraham was the chair of the joint work group. Benoit was there also sitting on the joint work group. But I'm throwing in other resources also to assist. So Stephen Jurincic on the electricity side and Amish Gupta on the gas side will be assisting with the region. So first meeting is probably happening next week with the Tiger team to bring everybody up to speed on this. So the next step, we will have a communication plan with the stakeholders. Already have identified some major one that could disseminate the message. A little bit like I'm doing here today in kind of a rush, but we will be feeding them with media lines so they can publish it on their website or the email distribution list, so to reach out as many organizations as possible. We'll be using Lyris messages to our contractors and authorized service providers, and there will be some public disclosure also for the general public so that they know that some device will be left in service, but there's the risk is being managed. So we have 3 more months left before the some device becomes overdue. So we're looking forward to move swiftly on that one. And on the longer term, maybe this entire concept here that we will be managing for the next 2 years could be a pilot, seen as a pilot for a risk management design for the future of E&G inspection. So instead of mandatory inspection, maybe the risk model is something we could investigate for the long run. That's it. So not sure if there was any questions while I was presenting. Hopefully they are. So back to you, David, for the questions.
Thank you very much, Mario. That's excellent. You covered a lot of ground there.
Can hear you. Okay. Okay.
Can you hear me okay? Great.
Yep.
We surprisingly, we didn't have any questions come in during your presentation. So certainly, folks, for a reminder, you can ask questions using the question feature in the GoToWebinar panel. So just locate that with the orange arrow and find the appropriate spot on your panel there. I'll throw a couple things at you, Mario, as perhaps folks are thinking about what they'd like to ask. The one item that comes to mind is always a topic that we discuss on the industry side, certainly, and that's the type approval timelines. So the service standards. So back in the spring, there was the consultation on the service standards, and I guess there's a couple of kind of goals with the question here. Just number one, just to give an opportunity to just clarify the kind of mix-up and announcement that took place upon the conclusion of the service standards. There was the Lyris message that came out, and you know, we received it, and our industry was, you know, everyone was excited, and you know, fireworks going off, hooray, you know, and then it turned out it was a Lyris issue. You referenced that actually earlier in your presentation, that you know, once it kind of goes past MC, it becomes, you know, kind of an IT item. I wonder if you could just comment on what happened there, just to kind of clarify and give folks a chance to understand what happened.
Yeah, Absolutely, because I was like you, David, when I know you reached out right away when you saw the message. I saw the message, I think, on the Friday before leaving when they issued it, the Lyris message. I clicked on the link and everything was legit back then. It was whatever it was supposed to be. And as soon as they released it, our communication group found a defect, something that needed to be corrected on the landing page that the Lyris message was redirecting to. So they thought that they first said, let's just make it inactive. And what they did, in fact, they reverted back to the archive version, which was the previously service standards. And so that's where, so everybody that were clicking on the link would end up in the previous service standards that were being fade out. So that's the explanation I received. So it's the person who decided to make the link inactive momentarily until they do an editorial fix on it. They in fact reverted it to the archive version of the service standards without realizing this was happening. So thanks to you, you pointed out to us very quickly. I understand it's causing confusion. People are saying, what's happening? They're offering this and pulling it out. The intention was from the beginning to publish the ones that you see now after the consultation. I was not involved in the consultation process, so sorry I don't have the insight. I just know what the circumstances of the publishing hiccup that happened.
Yeah, no, appreciate the clarification. When we sent a note out to our industry stakeholders, certainly got a few people responding saying, you know, congratulations and hooray, and this is great news. And then we had a bit of work to do to try to clarify the actual result. So appreciate that here. I'll note, related to that, I'll note as well that the CGA recently sent a letter to Diane Allen on the same topic, and we kind of took the opportunity from our industry's perspective to relay to Diane that we feel that the result is an inequitable treatment of the gas industry versus the electric industry, and I use the word carefully, equitable. In this case, meaning that you know, we acknowledge that gas devices are more complex, generally speaking, than electric devices, and so, you know, as a consequence of that, the approval timeline is longer. And from our industry's perspective, you know, the feeling is that there ought to be more resources devoted to the gas side, so that the approval timelines can be at par with each other. So kind of a prorated amount of resources supplied to the gas side to bring up, you know, the level to the same as the electric side. I know that, you know, that's a big topic, and there's a great willingness from Measurement Canada's side to enter into that discussion. And I know that I've had some conversations, and there's a lot of things that we can talk about, you know, more than just resourcing. I wonder if you could just comment on that, understanding that it's a topic of great interest from our, you know, side. Be great to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I can give you my thoughts. I'm not sure if they are Measurement Canada thoughts, because I'm not with the lab anymore, so I was not involved in that entire process. What I can tell you is as a starting point, the service standards for each of the disciplines were established based on the history of the delivery of the service that was rendered over the last 2-3 years. And of course, the gas were heavily affected by the gas discipline was heavily affected by a larger time to complete the assessment. So The objective, like you said, it's a starting point, and I think that Benoit Desforges, the VP LSD, offered the comment at one point that it's the starting point, and as the things improve, they will review those service standards. The objective is, like you said, is to have uniform service standards down the road. In order to get there, he's assigning new resources, and they are changing quite a few things in the lab to promote the reduction of the time it takes to proceed with the service standards. And next time around, when they re-evaluate the time it really takes, and now they are building these tools to have a better picture of the time it takes. So yes, the complexity is increased on the gas side, probably speaks about why it took longer. The objective is to reduce it. There's also the fact that the new Service Fee Act came in place in April, and there's a fee remission process in there. So it's a bit of a process where if we start remitting all the fees, because we don't meet the service standards, then we have less resources to improve the process and reduce the time it takes. So they preferred to aim for the realistic service standards and have the resources to reduce them along the way to bring them to a more realistic level. That's, I think, it's the intention. Nobody verbalized it this way to me, so that's why I don't have the details, but that's the way I saw it when I saw the evolution of that one. Start with something realistic based on metrics that we have, and keep improving them. And of course, I'm sure your industry is not necessarily interested in fee remission. They're mostly focusing on having a device type approved. That's their main priority, main objective. They couldn't care less if a fraction of the fee is remitted to the meter manufacturers if it takes longer than expected. They want the device to be type approved, basically. And hopefully by minimizing the fee remission by lining up the service standards to a realistic one, will allow the lab to effectively assign resources to in fact reduce those timelines.
That's excellent. Thank you very much, Mario. We have one question, so thanks for that. So as a point of clarification, Mayor is saying that Measurement Canada would like utilities to make a best effort to remove all meters due in 2020 by year end, focusing on high risk meters. For those that we are not able to remove, for whatever reason that may be, need to have reasons documented as to why they cannot be removed. And the meter needs to be removed when possible. Does Measurement Canada want to be notified of any meters that we're not able to remove? If you could clarify this point, that'd be great. I hope it's clear.
Yeah, that's exactly what will happen, because the traditional model is at the end of the year, if you have meters that could not be removed, you report them through the Gen 45. And this year, we recognize that it will most likely happen because of the COVID impact on the industry activity for the meter replacement. So in anticipation of that, we want to offer them some options. So if you do your best to get the meters removed, you document the impediments that you have to operate under, and you bring it up to our regional office. That's why the Tiger team that is being formed will be assisting you. So sorry, because I'm announcing this today without having the full thing, but in our books we have the process defined, we have the flow charts, we are developing the procedures to assist the industry with this, but they will be in the hands of those individuals in the region. They should talk to them. We will first have a meeting with them, and they will assist them. They will provide the risk matrix that we have developed with the joint work group, so they can run the matrix on their sample lots and identify the ones that are at a higher risk and lower risk. Apply the provision of the Gen 49 to be able to possibly to sample the lots at higher risk. If it's still not possible, the dispensation will still be a possibility. It may be of a shorter period of time. It could be associated with some conditions, but they won't become overdue if there were COVID-related reason for the inability to remove them. So yes, we are interested in having them reported to us, not after the fact, most likely before the fact, so we can work together to identify priorities where they should be focusing. So I would hate to see an industry going after meters where that are deemed at low risk and having to leave some meters at higher risk of measurement inaccuracy throughout 2021.
Excellent, thank you,
Like
Mario.
I said, the communication lines are coming out. It's going to be publicized them.
And I'll just note, certainly if there's additional questions, as Mario indicated, feel free to reach out. You can reach out obviously directly to Mario. You can reach out to the CGA as well, and we'll connect anyone that's interested in following up.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
We'll there's no further questions. We're at time here, so I'll shift to the closing remarks. So before we close this WWS, I want to remind you all of the entire series of CGA webinars and roundtables. If you found this session valuable, we encourage you to share the overall program with colleagues and invite them to join in future sessions. Recall also that all sessions are recorded, so including this one here, and they can be watched at any time. So if you've missed something, it's not too late. We'll be back online next week on Wednesday, October the 21st with M101, Basic Measurement Theory, which will be presented by Pat Hardock, who many of you know. You'll find that we'll continue to present a number of interesting and informative webinars and roundtables right through the end of the fall of 2020. And with that, I'll close today's session, Mario, by thanking you. It's always great to work with you, and we appreciate your support and your time, so thank you very much. And certainly to thank Canavants as well, who orchestrated the webinar today in the background, and all of you for joining us for the session today. So thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you.